All right. Much like a lot of the audience of the first Avatar film, it visually blew me away, but the plot felt extremely familiar, and it didn't do a whole lot for me. I enjoyed it a lot, but more for the visual and technological achievements than the actual story that they told. Not that it was a bad story, it's just a story that I've seen time and time again in films throughout my life, and some people have similar feelings about the second film. And I kind of see I can kind of see that, but it's not wholly original plot wise, but personally, I think The Way of Water was a major step up, both visually and in storytelling. And it could just be that I relate more to the story because of where I'm at in my life. The idea of protecting your family, being a father, and leading and doing what's necessary to keep the ones that you love safe. I feel like I can relate to that. I can relate to Jake Sully a lot more in this film than in the first film. So maybe that's why it grabbed me a little more, or actually a lot more than the first film. But on top of that, I love just about everything about this film. I thought it was awesome. Normally in a film that's this long, there's a real danger of me falling asleep at some point in the theater. But I was fully engaged for the full 3 hours and 15 minutes, and I was especially blown away by all the action war sequences. I love the inclusion of automatic weapons, like having the Na'vi actually use automatic weapons along with the typical bow and arrow, and then the spears and that the Water Tribe use. I just thought it was really cool to see Jake Sully wielding a rifle, and it didn't seem out of place. It totally made sense because I mean, like this is how Native American tribes wage war as well. Once they got their hands on rifles or muskets, they began to use those and incorporate those into their fighting as well, because they're fighting people using more advanced weapons. And I really love the storyline of this film. You know, Having them have to leave and find another tribe way out somewhere else that we didn't even know existed as an audience. We didn't realize that there were different types of tribes everywhere. But of course there are, right? I just thought it was awesome. It was a great way to tell a different story and bring new characters in and just really drive the storyline of learning to be part of a new tribe and learning a new way of life, a completely different way of life than they were used to. Different strategies for hunting, waging war. I loved it. I loved the new chief and the relationship between him and Jake Sully, and how the chief's wife was like very leery of letting these people in, people who might bring war to their tribe. And it was a really cool inclusion that there was something in the area that would have drawn the sky people to that area regardless of whether or not Jake Sully had went there. So it wasn't solely on him and his family. The colonizers were moving that way already, exploiting the oceans and the ocean life as well. So they may have gotten there a little sooner because of the Sullys, but they were coming anyway. And I thought it was really interesting that there was a specific reason they were hunting these giant whale-like creatures, that they needed this substance from inside the whale's brain that could actually stop the aging process in humans. I mean, just the thought of that and the implications and how sought after something like that would be, perfect. And it was gruesome watching them track and trap and kill this creature and extract this substance from its brain. It was kind of hard to watch. But of course there would be some, magical substance inside this highly intelligent creature. There's a lot of crossover to real life here on Earth, with there being, highly intelligent creatures in the ocean that we don't even fully understand how intelligent they really are. I loved it. I loved everything about this film. Um, I enjoyed it far more than the first one. As I said, I think this was just a much better film. And like I said, I really enjoyed the first film, but this one, no pun intended, blows it out of the water. I absolutely loved it. Now, I would be remiss if I did not include my wife's opinion as well. She went as well to the theater, and she's not as big of a fan of the first film. And she said that this one, she thought it was all right. She thought it was pretty good, but that it was entirely too long. And, she doesn't think any movies should ever be this long. Like, there's no justification for it in her mind. But the biggest complaint she had was Sigourney Weaver's voice. Voicing a teenage girl, it completely took her out of the film every time the character was speaking. And I get it. I sort of agree. I think they could have gotten someone else to voice that character. There was no reason for Sigourney Weaver to voice that character. She still would have been a part of the film, she still would have been in it through flashbacks, and they could have increased those flashbacks if they wanted to give her more screen time. And I think that would have been just fine, but there was no reason for her to voice this character. And yeah, it didn't completely take me out of the film like it did for her, but it was kind of annoying. Overall, though, I really love this film, and I would totally sit through it again in the theater 100%. If anyone else wants to go see it and they ask me to go, I'm there. Anyway, I know I'm a little late to the party with my review here. I did see it almost a month after it released, but I figured I'd share my thoughts anyway. And I'd love to hear what you guys thought of the film, how you think it compares to the first one. Do you agree with me that it's a better film overall? Did Sigourney Weaver's voice ruin it for you like it did for Eva? Let me know in the comments below. Or you can reach out on Twitter or Instagram if you're listening in podcast form. If you want to listen to this in podcast form, you're not already, just search for Daily BS Podcast. It's available everywhere you get your podcasts already. I'm everywhere. But yeah, reach out. Let me know. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you like this sort of content. Mostly what I do here is entertainment and pop culture, but from time to time I tell ridiculous stories from my questionable youth and other, like anecdotal life lessons, stuff like that. Book reviews, all kinds of stuff. So if you're into that sort of thing, please subscribe and or favorite or follow Daily BS Podcast. And if you do decide to stick around and follow the channel, then I'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks.